under sunny skies in Busan. Afternoon highs will reach 34 degrees Celsius amid a heat wave warning. It's time to wrap up this hour's news. Thank you for joining. You're listening to BEFM 부산영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM 부산영어방송.
Coming up next is Busan Worldwide with Stephanie Yoon. BEFM 부산영어방송.
I have some exciting news for nature enthusiasts in Busan. The Samrak Ecological Park has been designated as Busan's first ever Nakdong River Regional Garden, offering a delightful spot to experience the beauty of reeds swaying in the wind and watch migratory birds as well. 네, 갈대바람을 느끼며 철새를 감상할 수 있는 삼락생태공원. 그 일대가 부산 최초 낙동강 지방정원으로 지정됐습니다. Now this urban oasis, the Samrak Ecological Park, provides a healing space where visitors can immerse themselves in nature. And with this recent designation as a regional garden, it's even more important to preserve and nurture this treasure. Well, this is Busan Worldwide, and I'm your host, Stephanie Yoon. Good morning and welcome to Busan Worldwide on this wonderful Wednesday morning. Happy hump day, everyone. And it is August, already second day of August indeed. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to BEFM 부산영어방송. Now, the Samrak Ecological Park in Busan has now become the largest Nakdong River regional garden in the country, and it's a first for the city. And to create this garden, Busan City has divided the area into 4 zones with different themes. Migratory birds, people, sharing, and wildlife. 네, 부산시는 철새, 사람, 공유, 야생 이렇게 4가지 주제로 구역을 나눠 정원을 조성하는데요. During the winter, the garden will provide feeding areas for migratory birds, allowing them a safe and comfortable space. And from spring to autumn, visitors can enjoy various flower gardens designed to match each season as well. And at the upper part of the Samrak embankment, there will be a riverside ecological and cultural exploration trail, and along with that, beautiful gardens featuring riverside reeds will be cultivated as well. 부산시는 3년간 지방정원을 가꾼 뒤 국가정원 지정에도 도전할 계획인데요. After 3 years of nurturing the regional garden, Busan plans to set its sights on a national garden designation as well. So as of now, there are only 2 national gardens in the country, the Suncheon Bay National Garden in Jeolla Province and the Taehwagang National Garden in Ulsan. And if Busan continues to take good care of the Samrak Ecological Park, achieving a national garden status doesn't seem too far-fetched, right? Well, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Busan Worldwide for a Wednesday edition again. Now, to tell you briefly about what we have going on for the next hour, we do have the interview coming up, which is our main segment. Today, we're going to be talking about the regional office, Southeast Regional Office of Statistics Korea, and what important role they are playing in our region. And after that, we have Up Busan 2030 and Correspondent Report. 네, 오늘은 중국통신원과 연결하고요. And as always, we are live on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube and search BEFM or 부산영어방송 to check out our guest in the studio as well as myself in the studio. And you can even send us messages for free on YouTube or Kakao or pound 9050, which will cost you 100 won. Now from Busan to the world, Busan Worldwide. 오늘의 더 인터뷰 라이브로 만나보시죠. Now it's time for the interview. Statistics on our region's prices, employment, industry, and more are important when it comes to setting economic policies as well as direction. And the Southeast Regional Office of Statistics Korea plays an important role in doing this. So joining us today is Mr. Yang Dong-hee, the recently appointed head of the Southeast Regional Office of Statistics Korea. 네, 지역의 물가, 고용, 산업활동 등 통계는 경제 정책과 방향을 정하는 데 중요한 자료가 되겠죠. 동남지방통계청에서 그런 역할을 담당하고 있는데요. 최근 취임한 양동희 동남지방통계청장과 함께 자세한 이야기 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하십니까?
예, 양동희입니다. 동남지방통계청장입니다.
네, 반갑습니다. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio today. Now, since your appointment back in July, I'm sure you've been very busy getting used to the swing of things. So how do you feel about your appointment? 네, 지난 7월 취임 후 한 달 정도 업무 파악으로 바쁜 시간을 보내셨을 것 같은데요. 먼저 취임 소감 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
예, 동남지방통계청은 이제 부산, 울산, 경남을 관할하고 있으며 5개 과와 5개 사무소, 2개 분소, 400여 명의 인력으로 운영되고 있습니다. 예, 부임한 후 각 부서를 방문을 하고 부산시 등 지자체와 협력 네트워크를 다지며 바쁜 시간을 보냈습니다. 예, 동남권은 23년 6월 주민등록 인구 기준으로 부산 330만 명, 울산 110만 명, 경남 320만 명이 거주해 전국 인구의 15%이며 21년 지역 내 총생산은 부산 98조 6천억 원, 울산 77조 7천억 원, 경남 112조로 전국의 14%를 차지하고 있습니다. 이러한 인구, 경제, 규모를 책임지는 지역 통계의 수장으로 막중한 책임을 느낍니다.
네.
예, 저를 비롯한 동남지방통계청 400여 명의 구성원 모두는 지역정책 수립의 기초가 되는 통계를 정확하고 신속하게 생산하기 위해 최선을 다할 것이라 다짐합니다.
네, 알겠습니다. So he said the Southeast Office of Statistics Korea has jurisdiction over Busan, Ulsan, and Gyeongnam and is organized into 5 divisions, 5 offices, 2 branches with 400 employees. And since his appointment, he's been very busy visiting each department to build a network of cooperation with local governments. He said the Southeast region is home to 3.3 million people in Busan, 1.1 million in Ulsan, and 3.2 million in Gyeongnam, accounting for 15% of the nation's population as of June 2023. The 2021 gross regional domestic product, which we also go by GRDP, was 98.6 trillion won in Busan, 77.7 trillion won in Ulsan, and 112 trillion won in Gyeongnam, accounting for 14% of the nation's GDP. So he feels a great deal of responsibility for being in charge of such a large population and economy. He said the Southeast Regional Office will do their best to accurately and quickly produce statistics that serve as the basis for regional policy making. While usually national organizations located in Busan have the name Busan within their title, but for your office, it's Southeast Region. So I do want to ask, why is one organization responsible for covering statistics of the Southeast Region? 네, 보통 부산에 있는 국가기관의 경우 앞에 부산이 붙는 경우가 많은데요. 이 통계청의 경우 동남지방이 붙습니다. 이 동남권의 통계를 이렇게 한 기관이 아우르는 이유는 무엇입니까?
예, 그 앞에서 이제 말씀드렸듯이 이제 동남권은 부산, 울산, 경남 지역을 의미합니다.
네.
그러니까 부산, 울산, 경남은 지리적, 경제적, 사회적으로 이제 밀접한 연관을 맺으면서 동일한 생활권을 누린다고 볼 수 있겠죠. 지역의 인구, 산업의 변화나 지역민의 삶 등을 이제 살피기 위해서는 시군구나 광역권의 통계도 필요하지만 동남권을 이제 전체적으로 조망할 수 있는 포괄적인 통계 또한 필요합니다. 이러한 통계를 효율적으로 제공하기 위해서 광역으로 이제 권역을 묶어서 조직을 운영하고 있으며 이에 맞게 다양한 통계를 생산하고 있습니다.
그렇군요. 이 동남권을 전체적으로 볼 수 있는 포괄적인 통계가 필요하다고 말씀해 주셨습니다. All right, so he said Busan, Ulsan, and Gyeongnam are closely connected geographically, economically, and socially. In order to look at the local population, changes in industry, and lives of residents, we need statistics from the city, county, and metropolitan area, but we also need comprehensive statistics that gives us an overall view of the southeastern region. In order to provide such statistics effectively and efficiently, they operate as a regional organization. Now, what kind of statistics does your office put importance on? 그럼 동남지방통계청에서 특히 중요하게 다루는 통계는 어떤 것들입니까?
예, 우리 청에서는 이제 통계를 통해 지역민의 전반적인 삶을 살펴볼 수 있도록 하는 지역 통계를 이제 작성해서 수시로 발표하고 있습니다. 지역민이 어떤 환경에서 이제 어떻게 벌어서 어떻게 소비하고 어떻게 이제 가족을 이루고 살아가는지를 수도권이나 다른 지역과 비교를 해서 다양한 관점에서 이제 살펴볼 수 있도록 하는 게 되겠습니다. 예, 또 동남권의 경제 활동, 뭐 취업이나 실업, 노동력 등 특성을 이제 조사하는 고용동향, 그다음에 광업 제조업이나 서비스업 분야의 이제 상황과 성장을 조사하는 산업활동 동향, 그다음에 이제 지역민의 각종 소비 품목의 가격 동향을 살펴보는 소비자 물가동향이 있습니다. 저희가 이제 일상에서 자주 접하는 이제 고용률이나 산업 생산 지수, 소비자 물가 지수 등을 이러한 통계를 통해서 알 수 있습니다.
그렇군요. So he said the office publishes what's called local statistics from time to provide an overview of the lives of local residents. Through statistics, they can see how much people earn, spend, and how they raise their families in different environments and from different perspectives, comparing the numbers to the metropolitan area and other regions. He shares some of the statistics that they provide. There are employment trends, which examines the characteristics of economic activity like employment, unemployment, labor force, etc. in the southeast region. Also, industrial activity trends, which examines the status and growth of the mining, manufacturing, and service sectors. And also, consumer price trends, which examines the price trends of various consumer goods. And these statistics are produced or provided to us as the employment rate, industrial production index, and consumer price index that we see quite often in reports. Well, let's talk about the specifics. In June, how did the employment trends of the region look like? 지난 6월 부울경 고용 동향은 어떻게 나왔습니까?
예, 이제 고용률에 대해서 말씀을 드리겠습니다. 부산은 이제 57.8%, 울산은 60.4%, 경남은 63.5%로 부산, 울산은 6월 전국 고용률이 63.5% 되거든요. 거기에 비해서 좀 낮은 편이 되겠습니다. 지역별로 말씀드리면 부산의 6월 고용률은 57.8%로 지난해 6월에 비해 0.4%포인트 상승을 했고요. 취업자는 169만 5천 명으로 8천 명이 증가를 했습니다. 예, 산업별로 이제 취업자 수를 살펴보면 건설업, 제조업에서 이제 감소는 했고요. 사업 개인 공공 서비스업에서 5.2% 증가가 됐습니다.
아, 그렇군요. 그럼 울산은요?
예, 울산은 이제 고용률은 60.4%로 0.5포인트 상승을 했고요. 취업자는 57만 7천 명으로 5천 명이 증가를 했습니다. 사업 개인 공공 서비스업에서 이제 감소는 했지만 제조업, 그다음에 이제 도소매업, 음식 숙박업에서 증가를 해서 부산과는 조금 다른 양상을 보였다고 할 수 있겠습니다.
그렇군요. 네, 그리고 마지막으로 경남은요?
예, 경남의 고용률은 63.5%로 지난해 이제 6월에 비해서 1.6%포인트 상승을 해서 동남권에서는 가장 높은 고용률을 보였습니다. 취업자는 180만 1,000명으로 3만 4천 명이 증가를 했고 업종별로는 건설업, 농림업, 제조업 부문 취업자 수는 줄었으나 사업 개인 공공서비스업, 도소매, 음식 숙박업에서 늘어난 것으로 나타났습니다.
그렇군요. So he said in June, the employment rate was 57.8% in Busan, 60.4% in Ulsan, and 63.5% in Gyeongnam, all lower than the national employment rate of 63.5% in June. So if we look closely by region, Busan's employment rate was 57.8% in June, which is up a 0.4% percentage points from June last year. And the the number of employed people increased by 8,000 to 1.65 million. And looking at the number of employed people by industry, the number of employed people decreased and also in construction and in manufacturing and increased by in business, personal, and public services as well. The employment rate in Ulsan was 60.4% in June, which is up 0.5 percentage points from June of 2022. And the number of employed people increased by 5,000 to 577,000, although it decreased in the business, personal, and public service industries. It increased a lot in the manufacturing industry and in the wholesale, retail, and accommodation industry, showing a slight different pattern from the increase and decrease by the industry in Busan. And lastly, in the employment rate in Gyeongnam was 63.5%, up 1.6 percentage points from June last year, making it the highest in the southeast region. The number of employed people increased by 34,000 to 1.81 million, and by industry, the number of employed people decreased in the construction industry, agriculture, forestry, fishing industry, and manufacturing industry, but increased in business, personal, and public services, and wholesale, retail, and food and accommodation as well. Then what about the price trends? Let's hear a bit about that. 그렇다면 지난 6월 부울경 물가 동향은 어떻게 나왔습니까?
예, 그 전년 동월 대비 그러니까 지난해 같은 달하고 이제 비교를 해서 부산이 2.8%, 울산이 2.9%, 경남이 2.4% 상승하였습니다. 예, 농축수산물 지수는 전년 동월 대비 부산 1.6% 하락, 울산 0.2%, 경남 0.9% 상승하였습니다. 공공요금은 이제 전기료, 도시가스, 지역 난방비가 이제 모두 인상되어서 전년 동월 대비로 부산이 24.0%, 울산 26.3%, 경남이 24.8%로 각각 상승하였습니다. 네. 서비스 지수는 전년 동월 대비 부산 3.6%, 울산 3.8%, 경남 3.4% 각각 상승하였는데 공공 서비스는 택시비, 외래 진료비 등이 이제 인상이 되었고요. 개인 서비스로는 이제 보험 서비스료, 구내 식당 식사비 등이 인상되었습니다.
그렇군요. 이 부울경의 6월 소비자 물가 지수는 다 상승했군요.
네, 그렇습니다.
Alright, so he said in June the consumer price index increased by 2.8% in June, 2.9% in Ulsan, and 2.4% in Gyeongnam. The agricultural, livestock, and fisheries price index and product index it decreased by 1.6% in June in Busan, 0.2% in Ulsan, and 0.9% in Gyeongnam. Utility bills increased by 24.0% in Busan, 26.3% in Ulsan, and 24.8% in Gyeongnam as electricity, city gas, and heating costs all increased. And the service index increased by 3.6% in Busan, 3.8% in Ulsan, and 3.4% in Gyeongnam, with public services including taxi fares and outpatient medical treatment fees and personal services including insurance fees and cafeteria meals had increased. Now, if you're just tuning into Busan Worldwide, we're in the middle of the interview with Mr. Yang Dong-hee. He's a recently appointed head of the Southeast Regional Office of Statistics Korea. And Statistics Korea actually produces and manages a lot of statistics. And in the age of data, statistics can become an even more important and effective tool. So please share your thoughts on this with us. 네, 통계청에서는 수많은 통계를 생산하고 관리하잖아요.
예.
이 데이터의 시대, 통계는 더욱더 중요하고 효과적인 수단이 될 수 있을 것 같은데 어떻게 보십니까?
예. 그러니까 오늘날 데이터는 이제 다양한 종류가 있습니다. 이제 국가기관에서 조사를 해서 적재하는 조사 자료, 그다음에 이제 행정 처리 과정에서 발생하는 행정 자료, 그다음에 이제 민간에서 또 보유하고 있는 민간 자료, 빅데이터 등 뭐 다양한 데이터가 지금 존재를 하고 있고요. 근데 이러한 데이터는 이제 로 데이터, 이제 낡아진 상태로는 그 의미를 알 수는 없고 의미 없는 자료가 되지만 이것들을 이제 수치화, 정량화, 이제 객관화함으로써 사회 현상을 효과적으로 표현할 수가 있습니다.
네.
예, 데이터는 연계 분석과 포괄적 접근으로 생산 비용이 낮아지는 규모의 경제, 다양한 자료를 이제 함께 활용함으로써 생산성을 높일 수 있는 범위의 경제를 속성으로 하고 있습니다. 그래서 이러한 데이터를 연계 활용할 수 있도록 자료를 적재하고 DB를 구축을 해서 통계를 생산해내는 것이 매우 중요하다고 생각합니다.
네, 그렇군요. Now, he shared that there are many different types of data. Survey data collected by government agencies, administrative data generated by administrative processes, and also private data and big data produced by private organizations. And in their raw data, the data that has no meaning, but by quantifying them, we can effectively express what's happening in our society. Data has the ability to lower production costs through linking analysis in comprehensive approaches, as well as increase productivity by utilizing various data together. So it is important to gather data, build database or DBs, and produce statistics so that the data can be linked and utilized. 네, 이런 데이터를 다루면 개인정보 보호도 중요할 것 같은데 어떻습니까?
예, 이 문제는 이제 우리 청에서도 가장 중요한 문제로 지금 보고 있고요. 그러니까 연계 분석 과정에서 개인정보 유출 등의 이제 문제가 이제 생길 수가 있기 때문에
네.
마스킹 기법이라고 이게 자료를 처리하는 기법들이 있습니다. 이런 것들을 통해서 개인정보 보호를 철저히 지금 하고 있고요.
네.
또한 이제 통계청은 개인정보보호법 개정과 함께 비식별화 가이드라인을 지금 저희가 수립을 했고. 그다음에 이제 개인의 민감한 정보가 이제 노출되지 않도록 저희가 최선을 다하고 있습니다. 아울러 이러한 이제 데이터 홍수 시대에 우리 동남지방통계청은 데이터를 안전하게 이제 이용할 수 있는 통계 데이터 부산센터를 운영하고 있습니다. 국가와 민간이 신뢰할 수 있는 통계 데이터를 동시에 이용할 수가 있고요. 여러 가지 이제 분석 툴을 제공함으로써 데이터 간 결합, 그다음에 연계 분석이 가능하며 분석 전문가의 지원을 받을 수 있으니까 그 시민 여러분의 많은 이용을 부탁드리겠습니다.
네, right, definitely I agree. So he said in this process, problems such as personal information leakage may occur. So they need to protect personal information. Statistics Korea has established de-identification guidelines under the revision of the Personal Information Protection Act and is doing its best to ensure that individuals' sensitive information is protected, which is amazing to hear. And as we are also in the era of data flooding, right? Statistics Korea operates the Statistical Data Busan Center, where data can be used safely. And they hope that citizens can use the center where reliable statistical data from the government and the private sector is provided. And various analysis tools can be used to combine and link data and receive support from analysis experts as well. Now, as the policy environment is changing rapidly, how is the Southeast Regional Office keeping up with this? 정책 환경이 급변하고 있죠. 동남지방통계청에서는 동남권 지역 통계에 대해서 어떤 대응 방안을 가지고 있습니까?
예, 동남권은 이제 인구 유출과 지역 내 총생산의 감소, 그다음에 산업 구조의 변화 등 이제 여러 환경 변화를 지금 겪고 있습니다.
네.
예를 들면 이제 지역의 제조업이 빠져나가면 이에 종사하던 인구가 빠져나가고 이는 이제 지역 내 총생산의 감소와 결국에는 실업률의 증가로 이어지게 되겠죠. 근데 이러한 신호는 그 여러 데이터들로 미리 예측해 볼 수가 있고요. 그러한 통계를 또 생산해내는 것이 통계청의 역할이라고 생각을 하고 있습니다. 예, 병을 치료하는 의사보다는 예방하는 의사가 명이라고 하지 않습니까?
네.
예, 이런 변화의 흐름을 파악하고 정책적으로 활용할 수 있는 통계를 만들어서 제공하고 유관 기관과 긴밀히 협조를 해서 정책 수립에 충분히 활용되도록 하겠습니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 여러 환경 변화를 포착하고 현장을 명확히 파악하는 데 꼭 필요한 것이 통계라고 봅니다. Now, he shared that the Southeast region is experiencing a number of environmental changes, including population outflow, declining GRDP. As we mentioned, this is gross domestic regional product, and shifting industrial structures as well. And definitely, statistics are essential to understand these changes, right? So, for example, he said if the region's manufacturing industry leaves, the working population of the industry will also disappear, which leads to decrease in the GRDP and an increase in unemployment as well, right? So such signals can be predicted in advance with various data, and it's the role of Statistics Korea to produce such statistics. They will continue to create statistics that can be used for policy purposes by grasping these changes and working closely with related organizations to ensure that they're fully utilized in policy making. Now, before we wrap up today's interview, I do want to mention that on the last Wednesday of every month, starting this month, you and your team will be presenting news from the Southeast Regional Statistics Office on our show. So what will this be about? 네, 이번 달부터 마지막 주 수요일에 부산 월드와이드에서 동남지방통계청의 소식을 들려주신다고 하는데요. 어떤 내용입니까?
예, 일반적으로 이제 통계라고 하면 접근하기 어렵고 이제 숫자의 의미를 이해하기도 이제 어렵다고 생각하시는 분들이 많은 것 같습니다. 예, 근데 결코 그렇지는 않고요.
네.
예, 우선 저희가 일상생활에서 이제 흔히 접하는 고용이나 소비자 물가, 지역 내 총생산 등의 동남권의 이제 분석 결과의 의미와 그 숨은 뜻을 좀 알기 쉽게 설명해 드릴 예정입니다. 또 지역의 이제 생활 환경과 삶의 질을 파악할 수 있는 다양한 통계를 만들어서 그 의미를 설명해 드리도록 하겠습니다. 부산, 울산, 경남과 동남권 전체를 파악할 수 있는 여러 통계들을 이제 소개해서 우리의 삶이 어떠한지, 어떻게 살아가고 있는지에 대해 통계로 풀어볼 예정입니다.
네.
이로써 지역민이 통계를 활용해서 과학적 의사결정을 할 수 있도록 돕는 유익한 시간이 되기를 기대해 봅니다.
네, 저도 정말 많은 기대하고 있는데요. 청취자분들도 많은 관심 부탁드립니다. Now, he said, we often think of statistics as something that's difficult to understand, right? And through his time on our show and his team as well, they'll be explaining the meaning of the results of their analysis, such as unemployment, consumer prices, and gross regional domestic product, GRDP, which we often encounter in our daily lives. And they will also explain the meaning of various statistics that can tell us the environment and quality of life in the region. By introducing various statistics that can identify Busan, Ulsan, and Gyeongnam and the entire Southeast region, we can understand how our lives are, and he hopes to help local people make scientific-based decisions using statistics through the show here at Busan Worldwide. Well, that's going to do it for today's The Interview with Mr. Yang Dong-hee. He's the recently appointed head of the Southeast Regional Office of Statistics Korea. 네, 오늘은 양동희 동남지방통계청장과 함께 자세한 이야기 나눠봤는데요. 청장님 오늘 출연 너무 감사합니다.
예, 감사합니다.
All right, and that's going to do it for today's The Interview. And before we listen to our next song, I do have a PSA message for all of our listeners. This is an emergency broadcast from BEFM. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety has issued this PSA at 10:55 a.m. on August 2nd, 2023, nationwide. Today, the daytime maximum heat index is around 35 degrees Celsius nationwide, and a nationwide heat wave warning and heat wave advisory are in effect. There have been fatalities from heat-related illnesses in rural areas. To prevent heat wave damages, please make sure to stay hydrated and seek a cool place if you experience dizziness, nausea, or headaches so that you could prevent heat-related illnesses and thoroughly prepare for the heat wave. This was a message from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, and we're going to take a quick song break. This is What Would You Do by Honne.
Let's just say the world ended a week from now. What would you do? What would you do? Let's just say the world ended a week from now. What would you do? They say a smile can really brighten your night. Yeah. Stuck on this rock together, rocking for life. Yeah. This music jamming, I just here for the vibe. I'ma tell someone I love them tonight.
Why not tell somebody you love them before it's too late? Why not tell somebody you love them 'cause it cannot wait? Just tell somebody you love them before it's too late. 'Cause you're running out of time, don't wait another day. Look your lover in the eyes and tell her I'll be with you by your side forever, forever.
Welcome back to Busan Worldwide. I'm your host, Stephanie Yoon. Thank you so much for tuning in today on this lovely Wednesday morning. It is so hot outside. Please make sure you're hydrated, stay cool, stay safe as well. We have a lot of messages coming in on YouTube. We have Bilonga Shingo님. Good morning. Listening in from Miyazaki, Japan. Well, Bilonga Shingo님 or Shingo님, thank you so much for tuning in from Japan as well and getting all these updates from Busan and also today from China as well. So continue tuning in as well. And also we have 일류의 충전소님 and also Humberto님 saying hello, good morning. Good morning indeed. Now it's time for Up Busan 2030. It's a daily campaign segment here at Busan Worldwide to learn more about World Expo until November, which is when the host city for the 2030 World Expo will be decided on. So let's jump into it. On July 31st, Busan City signed a friendly cooperation agreement with Belize City, furthering their partnership in various fields. 네, 부산시가 7월 31일 벨리즈 시티와 우호 협력 도시 협정을 체결했습니다. Now, Belize City is not only the largest city in Belize, but also the economic and also cultural hub of the country. Known for its abundant nature, natural resources, including coral reefs and also other marine wonders, it really boasts the largest barrier reef in the northern hemisphere. And with this recent agreement, Busan and Belize City will be engaging in exchanges and cooperation across multiple areas, including marine affairs, environmental conservation, tourism, and cultural exchanges. And this partnership with Belize City adds another city to Busan's growing list of sister cities and friendly cooperation cities, bringing the total to 47. And also, signing of this agreement is expected to have a positive impact on securing friendly relations in the Central and South American region, especially in the context of Busan's bid to host the 2030 World Expo. And that was the update for the Busan World Expo daily campaign here at Busan Worldwide. Now let's move on to the Daily Expo quiz. Let's dive into the fascinating world of global festivals where technology, culture, and art converge in one grand event, and that's called the World Expo. The World Expo has a long history spanning 170 years, leaving behind countless records and stories as well. So here's the question for today. 엑스포 관련 문제 드리겠습니다. What was the first ever expo that North Korea participated in? 네, 북한이 처음으로 참가한 엑스포는 어느 엑스포일까요? The question was, what was the first ever expo that North Korea participated in? And the answer is the 2010 Shanghai Expo. 네, 정답은 바로 2010년 상하이 엑스포입니다. Yes, the Shanghai Expo was particularly noteworthy as it marked the first time North Korea and Taiwan took part, and it became a center of attention for many. In terms of scale, the Shanghai Expo set a remarkable record. It occupied an exhibition space of 5.23 million square meters, with 190 countries participating and welcoming in 73.08 million visitors. So almost more than 73 million visitors, and they even surpassed 1 million visitors in a single day. And among many of these attendees, there was a remarkable figure, a Japanese grandmother named Yamada Tomio, fondly known as Expo Grandma. And this lady, she attended the expo every single day from its opening to its closing, completing a remarkable 184-day streak. Wow. And her story captivated media outlets, and it said that at the Shanghai Expo Pavilion, local people even requested her autographs and photos and creating some fun behind-the-scenes stories as well. And I think really the World Expo brings together diverse cultures and really touching the hearts of people from all corners of the globe as well. Well, that's it for Up Busan 2030, a daily campaign for the Busan World Expo. We're going to continue this segment until November. With that, let's take a quick song break. This is Harry Styles with Daylight.
Out there, reading your horoscope. You were just doing coke in my kitchen. You never listen. I hope you're missing me by now. If I was a bluebird, I would fly to you. You'd be the spoon, dip you in honey, so I could be sticking to you. Daylight, you got me crushing the daylight. Got me crushing the daylight. Daylight, you got me calling at all times. Ain't gonna sleep till the daylight. Saying there's life out there. You got the antidote. I'll take one to go, please. Get the picture, cut out my middle. You ain't got time for me right now. If I was a bluebird, I would fly to you. You'd be the spoon, dip you in honey, so I could be sticking to you. If I was a bluebird, I would fly to you. You'd be the spoon, dip you in honey, so I could be sticking to you.
Beyond the borders of Busan, bringing the world back to you. Busan Worldwide with Stephanie Yoon.
The country's housing agency is calling attention to
Correspondent Report. That's right. It's time for Correspondent Report, connecting with our reporters from all around the world. 지금부터는 세계 곳곳의 통신원들을 만나보겠습니다. 오늘 라이브로 연결한 나라는 중국인데요. 중국의 박신희 통신원과 함께합니다. 안녕하십니까?
예, 안녕하세요. 중국 베이징의 박신희 통신원입니다.
네, 반갑습니다. So we're going to be hearing the latest news from our correspondent, Mr. Park Shin-hee, reporting live from China. So let's jump into our first topic for today. While inflation remains a global concern, China is now facing deflation warning. So let's hear a bit about this. 전 세계적으로 인플레이션이 문제인데 중국은 디플레이션 경고들이 커졌다고 합니다. 이 내용 전해주시죠.
예, 중국의 디플레이션 징후가 중국 전역에 걸쳐갈수록 뚜렷해지고 있습니다. 중국 매체 보도에 따르면 중국의 철강, 시멘트, 화학제품 등 중국 공장이 만들어내는 각종 제품의 가격이 지난 몇 달간 지속적으로 하락하고 있고 설탕, 계란, 의류, 가전제품 등의 상품 수요도 기대보다 부진한 모습을 보이면서 소비자 물가가 보합세를 나타내고 있습니다. 지난 6월 소비자 물가지수 상승률은 전년 동기 대비 0%에 그쳤고 2분기 경제 성장률도 시장 전망치인 7% 초반보다 낮은 6.3%에 그친 상황입니다.
그렇군요. So the signs of deflation in China are becoming more pronounced nationwide. According to reports from Chinese media, the prices of various products manufactured in China's Chinese factories, such as steel, cement, chemicals, have been declining over the past few months. Also, consumer demand for products like sugar, eggs, clothing, and household appliances has been weaker than expected, leading to stable consumer prices. In June, the consumer price index CPI rose by 0% compared to the previous year, and the second quarter economic growth rate fell to 6.3%, lower than the market's initial projection of 7%, and the situation is becoming concerning. So let's hear about the main reasons behind China's deepening deflation. 네, 중국의 디플레이션에 심화하는 주된 이유는 어디에 있나요?
예, 중국 경제 전문가들은 중국 경제의 디플레이션이 심화되는 가장 큰 이유로 가라앉은 소비 지출을 꼽고 있습니다. 중국 정부가 내수 시장 진작을 외치고는 있지만 소비자들의 지출 규모가 좀처럼 커지지 않고 있는데요. 이에 대해 전문가들은 소비자들이 향후 수익 감소를 우려해서 소비 지출 줄이기에 나선 것으로 분석하고 있습니다.
I see. So experts point to stagnating consumer spending as the primary reason for China's deflationary trend. And despite the government's efforts to boost domestic consumption, the scale of consumer spending has not expanded significantly. Consumers are showing a tendency to reduce spending due to concerns over declining incomes. So then our question would be, is China's lack of openness to the international market also related to its deflation? 네, 중국의 디플레이션이 중국의 대외 시장 개방 부족과도 연관이 있을까요?
예, 중국의 수출은 코로나19 팬데믹 기간에 서구의 수요 덕분에 급증했습니다. 국제 신용평가사 무디스의 자회사인 무디스 애널리스틱스에 따르면 중국 생산자 물가는 2020년 초부터 지난해 4월 정점까지 12%나 올랐습니다. 하지만 이런 추세는 중국 정부의 방역 봉쇄 해제와 서방의 수요 감소로 작년 하반기부터 꺾였는데요. 중국 공장들은 서방의 수요를 맞추기 위해 생산량을 늘렸다가 과잉 생산에 직면했고 이를 다시 국내 시장으로 눈을 돌리면서 가격 하락 압력은 더욱 거세지게 됐습니다. 중국 기업들이 생산한 제품들이 중국과 서방 국가들의 대립 속에 수출이 부진해지고 이것이 다시 내수 시장 부진을 촉진하면서 디플레이션을 부추기고 있는 모습입니다.
I see. So China's exports surged during the COVID-19 pandemic, driven by Western demand. According to Moody's Analytics, the producer prices in China rose by 12% from early 2020 to April last year. However, this trend started to decline in the second half of last year due to the easing of pandemic control measures and the decrease in Western demand. To meet Western demand, Chinese factories increased production, leading to oversupply. And with the focus now turning to the domestic market, the pressure for price reductions has intensified. So the export downturn amid the China-Western tensions is contributing to the domestic market's slump and further worsening deflation as well. Then let's also hear how China is responding to the deflation warnings. 그럼 중국은 디플레이션 경고에 대해 어떤 대응을 하고 있나요?
예, 디플레이션을 막기 위해 안간힘을 쓰고 있는 중국 정부는 투자와 내수 활성화에 열쇠를 쥐고 있는 민간 기업에 대한 종합 지원을 위한 방침을 내놓는 등 기업 친화적인 제스처를 취하고 있습니다. 중국 정부의 이러한 제스처는 경제난과 높은 실업률 등이 쉽게 해소되지 않는 상황에서 민간 기업에 과감한 투자를 유도하는 신호를 발신한 것이라는 관측이 많은데요. 그러나 그간의 민간 기업 지원 약속이 실제로는 잘 실행되지 않았기 때문에 기업가들 사이에서는 중국 당국의 약속이 립 서비스로 인식되고 있다는 지적도 나오고 있습니다.
I see. So to prevent deflation, the Chinese government is putting great effort into economic recovery and has announced policies aimed at comprehensive support for private enterprises, which hold the key to investment and domestic consumption activation. Many experts view these policies as a signal to encourage bold investments in private enterprises as the economic challenges and high youth unemployment remain unresolved. However, the credibility of the government's previous promises to private enterprises support has been questioned as well. Now, let's move on to another topic coming from China. It seems that the movie Barbie is sparking feminism debates in China. Such an interesting topic, so we're going to hear a bit about this for today. 네, 마지막 소식 볼게요. 영화 바비가 중국에서 페미니즘 논쟁을 일으키고 있다고 합니다. 이 소식 전해주시죠.
예, 헐리우드 영화 바비가 중국에서 여성 인권과 페미니즘에 대한 논의를 재점화했다고 홍콩 사우스 차이나 모닝포스트가 31일 보도했는데요. 이 보도에 따르면 중국의 엄격한 외화 쿼터와 법률을 통과해서 현지 극장에 걸린 바비를 둘러싼 페미니즘 논의 가열은 영화 내용 중에 새로운 남성상에 대한 묘사가 주된 이유라고 합니다.
그렇군요. So he said that Hollywood movie Barbie has reignited discussions about women's rights and feminism in China, as reported by the South China Morning Post, SCMP. And the film managed to pass China's strict foreign film quota and censorship to be shown in local theaters, but the debate has been fueled mainly by the movie's depiction of harmful masculinity. 이 영화를 본 중국 네티즌들의 반응은 어떤가요?
예. 지난 21일 중국에서 개봉한 바비의 중국 극장 매출은 약 250억 원으로 방역 해제 후 다시 활기를 얻고 있는 중국 극장과 성적을 감안할 때는 그다지 좋은 성적은 아닙니다. 그리고 페미니즘 논쟁 때문인지 지난 27일 중국 인기 영화 사이트 더우반에서의 평점이 10점 만점에 8.5점으로 동시간대 영화 중 최고 평점을 기록한 반면에 중국 남성들이 주로 이용하는 스포츠 사이트 후프에서는 10점 만점 평점에 5.6점의 낮은 점수를 받기도 했습니다. 일부 네티즌들은 바비가 중국에서는 드문 여성 인권과 젠더 문제에 대한 공개 토론의 장을 제공했다고 긍정적으로 평가하고 있는 반면에 일부 네티즌들은 극중 해로운 남성상을 비판하는 대화에 짜증이 나서 도중에 상영관을 나왔다며 영화 내용을 비판하기도 했습니다.
그렇군요. So very interesting indeed. So the box office performance of Barbie, which was released in China on the 21st of last month, showed only about 25 billion won. And as of the 27th, the film received a score of 8.5 out of 10 on a popular movie site like Douban, and the highest rating among films released at the same time. However, on the sports site like Hupu, which is predominantly used by Chinese men, the movie received a much lower rating of 5.6 out of 10. Some netizens praised Barbie for providing a rare platform for open discussions on women's rights and gendered issues in China, while others criticized the movie's depiction of harmful masculinity and left the theater midway in frustration. So definitely different views coming from different genders or maybe different groups as well. So very interesting to hear. And that's going to do it for today's updates on China, coming from China. And this was our correspondent reporter reporting from Beijing, Mr. Park Shin-hee. 네, 중국 소식은 여기까지 듣겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 지금까지 중국 베이징에서 박신이었습니다.
That's right. And that's going to do it for today's Correspondent Report, connecting with Mr. Park Shin-hee. And talking about Barbie, I personally saw the movie. I would love to hear from you listeners on your thoughts on the movie Barbie as well, because I'm sure there are different views and you can definitely have different views about the different movies, of course. And personally, I enjoyed it. I do have just, when I was young, I loved Barbie, right? So it was a wonderful just memory as well. And we do have 주브로님 messaging in saying 바비와 오펜하이머 영화 열기가 뜨겁다고 하더라고요. Yes, definitely. Two different movies, but a lot of fans going to these two movies. It seems like the theaters are getting a bit more crowded, which is great to see for the theater and film industry in our city and around the globe as well. And thank you so much for messaging in through YouTube and also Kakao as well. We have DY Kimnim saying, very interesting story. Hello, Stephanie. I believe they're talking about the story of the expo grandma who attended every single day of the expo. 184 days. That's amazing. And if, Busan does host the 2030 World Expo, I'm sure there's going to be another expo person who attends every single day, and we can talk about it here at Busan Worldwide then as well. Well, the time is now 11:54, which means we do have to wrap up the program. This was produced by Tina Park, written by Pang Mira. I've been your host, Stephanie Yoon. And I'll see you tomorrow at 11:05 a.m. as well as tonight at 8 p.m. There's going to be replay as well, so tune in then. The last song for today is No More Drama by Charlie Puth. Bye-bye. Oh, actually, last song for today is 오랜만에 by Georgie. I'll see you tomorrow.
설명할 수 없는 이 기분 나는 벌써 이 도시에 나의 가슴 속을 메워주는 이 불빛이 좋은 걸 아무에게라도 말해주고 싶은 이 기분 Oh yeah 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 나는 벌써 이 도시에
It's summertime, and with that comes the heat wave. Here's how to prepare for the unwelcome but unavoidable heat. First, tune into your TV or radio and listen for the latest weather forecasts. Try to stay indoors. Refrain from extreme activities, particularly the elderly or those with pre-existing health conditions. If you must go outside, walk slowly, find shade, wear light-colored, loose clothing. To avoid sunburn, protect your skin with sunscreen, wide-brimmed hats, or sun parasols. For those working outside, take frequent breaks and drink water, even if you don't feel thirsty. If you're inside, block UV rays and keep the temperature between 26 and 28 degrees Celsius.